Good afternoon, this is Nicholas from Ghidorah Gaming, and I bring you all the new Vanquish Souls archetype. I'm super excited to go over these cards with you. This is the final archetype reveal for Wild Survivors. I believe there's still one more card for this archetype that has not yet been revealed. But for the first wave, I just want to read these cards to you, tell you how they are, if our predictions in our prediction video were correct, and go from there. And see how these cards compare to the Wild Survivors Transcended Drake archetype and the Chef archetype, the Crooked Cook deck, which is actually pretty insane. So it has both those decks have huge potential, so let's see what this deck lives up to. So this is Vanquish Souls versus Razen, my apologies. It is a Fire Warrior level 4, meaning it is tanky target, or no, it's not a tanky target, my pardon. It's a Rhoda target, 1800 attack, 1500 defense. You can only use the first and second effect of this card once per turn. You can't activate them in the same chain. So I guess they're quick effects. If this card is normal or special summon, add one non-warrior Vanquish Souls monster from your deck to hand. So it's a Rhoda, so that's great. So on normal, it just searches all the other archetype. And a quick effect, reveal the appropriate monster in your hand to activate this effect. One fire monster, it can't be destroyed by card effects this turn. Fire and dark monsters destroy all other monsters in the same column. Really interesting effect. I can't really say if that's good or bad. It's column mechanics, so those are hit or miss, to be honest. Mech Knights are cool. S-Force suck, to be honest, even though their new card is pretty solid. I don't know. Those are hit and miss. So this is a column-based attribute archetype. We'll just have to see what all the rest of the cards do, but overall it's a quick effect, and maybe if all the monsters are fire and dark, the fact you can destroy all other monsters in the same column is pretty good. Also, if you reveal a fire, if the whole archetype is fire monsters, that can protect them. That's pretty solid. They can't be destroyed by card effects this turn, and that's a quick effect. That's a pretty solid effect on all your monsters, especially if you're going into a board. They have all these negates. It doesn't matter because they can't be destroyed, which is pretty cool. So now we have Vanquish Souls versus Pavarina. This is an Earth Beast Warrior, level 4, 1700 attack, 1900 defense. So this can be searched off the Brother Tanky, which I was getting mixed up with the other one. But you can only use the first and second of this effect once per turn. If you control no monsters in the main monster zone, you can spell some discard from your hand. And then second effect is quick effect. Reveal the appropriate monsters from your hand and activates effect. One earth monster. This card can't be destroyed by battle this turn. Earth and fire destroy all spells and traps in the same column. So I guess they're using attributes, and their whole gimmick is that they destroy cards in a column. I'm not sure how good that is. We'll just have to find out. This destroys all spells and traps. I wish it was just not in the column. I wish it was all over the place, but what can you do? Really cool looking art. It is a free summon if you control the monsters, so that's pretty solid. The stats on both Vanquish Souls Pavarina over here and the other Vanquish Souls level 4 Warrior are not bad. 1700 is a big boy to special zone onto the field, especially at the level 4. Tenki can search his card pretty easy. I think Tenki's still at 2. It could be at 3 now. I could be mistaken. But overall, seems interesting. We'll have to see how the rest of the cards interact with each other to see if this has potential to be good. So far, I would argue this is the weakest of all the new cards that we got revealed for the other two archetypes. I think Transcended Drake does so much for dinosaurs, and I think the new Ritual deck is just insane what all those rituals do. But I might be judging this archetype a little too quickly. So we'll just have to see. This is only card 2, so let's go on to card 3. And let's find out what the rest of these guys do. Overall, it's an interesting card, this Panther Girl. But unless the other monsters are just insane, and the whole column-based mechanic is actually incredible, I would say this card's very average at best. Alright, so now we have Vanquish Souls versus Heavy Borger. I wonder what Vanquish Souls versus the Heavy Borger. So they're all fighting each other? I'm not really sure what's going on with the versus part. That is a Dark Machine effect monster, level 7, 2500 attack, 1500 effects, 1500 defense. You can only use each effect of this card once a turn. You can't activate them in the same chain. I guess they all say that. During the main phase, quick effect, target one non-machine Vanquish Souls monster you control. Return to the hand and special this card. Quick effect, reveal the appropriate monsters in your hand to activate this effect. One dark monster, draw one card. If it's an earth and a fire monster, inflict 1500 damage to your opponent. That sounds awful. This thing I thought was really, really cool at first, but it does nothing against your opponent. It is a level 7, so hey, Kashtira, here's another level 7 for you. So maybe Vanquish Souls Kashtira could be a thing, but again, it doesn't do anything. What, it burns your opponent for 1500 damage? That really isn't that great. I do like it's a quick effect. You just summon it onto the field and you just bounce the other one. It kind of reminds me of UAs, which is pretty cool. I do like you just reveal a dark monster. You just draw one. I don't know. This card seems very weird. I think all these cards sound very weird. They're based on columns, but we'll just have to see how the rest of the cards go. But overall, I like the artwork. I think this guy looks like a really cool boss monster, even though I know he is not the boss monster of the deck. He's a level 7 dark machine. So I guess he's a dark you can reveal, which is pretty solid to help destroy the spells and traps or monsters in the same column, which is cool. I just don't know, man. I just don't know. I do like you get you activate these effects, so you get both effects. I just realized that. So you do get the protection plus the removal, which is pretty cool. And then you also, in this one, you get to draw one or inflict 1500 damage, which is pretty interesting. Now we have the new Vanquish Souls versus Dr. Madlove. I love that the artwork of this card, just because it's called the Madlove, and one of my favorite movies, which what's called is Dr. I think Dulove. I forgot. He's a movie. He's a mad scientist. We'll just keep going from there. You can only use the first and second effect to this card once per turn. You can only activate this card in the same chain. They all say that. This card is no more spell summon. Add one Vanquish Soul spell or trap for your deck to hand. That quick effect, reveal the appropriate monster in your hand. Activate one of these effects. Dark monster. One phase of monster your opponent controls loses 500 attack. Dark and Earth. Return one phase of monster on the field with the lowest defense to its hand. Your choice if tied. Again, this sounds awful. You have to reveal a dark and an earth to get the second effect, which is a compulse for the lowest defense monster. A lot of boss monsters, like I said, how about Lynx? How do they even work with Lynx? They only have a defense. But a lot of monsters that are boss monsters aren't going to have low defense. Their defense are going to be gigantic. So what is this? Bounce like the weenies? And then you target one face-up monster that loses only 500 attack and defense. That's a little. This card's very mediocre. If it wasn't for the fact that it reveal it and it adds a spell, I think that part's really cool about this card. But the whole the reveal archetype part of just lowering 500, that's a pretty ass effect. I'm not gonna lie. I would say the other one was like burn for 15. It's like time it around at least. But this one is literally just, hey, we'll lower you by 500. It will bounce your weediest defense monster back to hand for you. I just don't think that's good. I don't know. I'm still reading these cards. So I'm still learning them. But I don't know. It doesn't sound good to me. It does not sound good. I like that it's a spell searcher. So let's hope the spells are crazy in this deck. But other than that, it's okay. Now we have Vanquish Souls versus Pluton HG. A fire zombie effect monsters, level 6, a 0 attack, 0 defense. All these stats are pretty weird, by the way. During the main phase, during your opponent's turn, if you control no monsters in the main monster zone, or all monsters you control in the main monster zone are Vanquish Souls, quick effect is special this card from your hand. And then the second effect is quick effect to reveal the appropriate monsters from your hand. To activate this effect, fire monsters gain 3,000 defense until the end of the turn. Dark and Earth. This card gains 3,000 attack until the end of the turn. That's, again, why do fire monsters gain 3,000 defense? Why is that important? And then the other part, Dark and Earth, this guy just gains 3,000 until the end of your opponent's turn. Why? Why would that matter? Like, I get it, it's 0, But this thing should have just been given a 3,000 stat line, to be perfectly honest. I don't know. This card doesn't do anything. It really doesn't. It just says, hey, special summoning, and I'm a 3,000 wall, and one of your fire monsters gain 3,000 defense until the end of the turn. That just sounds awful. Like, unless it's a Scareclaw and their whole gimmick, or a Super Heavy Samurai, and their whole gimmick is that they attack a defense position, I really don't see why a monster gaining 3,000 defense, a fire monster no less, is really that good. I know this card's at 3,000, so hey, it's a fire. It'll gain 3,000 defense, and if you revealed a Dark and Earth, it'll also gain 3,000 attack. That's cool as hell, right? But both those effects are only until the end of the turn. Meaning the second goes your turn, when you want to actually use that attack, it's back to 0 again. So I really don't know what this card's doing for you. At least the first two had column effects, and they like search spells and traps. I really don't know what this card's supposed to do. Alright, so now we have the boss monster that they've been hinting at. This is Vanquish Souls versus Kaiser Virus. This is an Earth Dragon effect monster. Earth Dragon, 3,000 attack, 1,500 defense. During the main phase, quick effect, target one non-dragon vanquishing soul monster you control. Return to hand if you do special summon its card. Quick effect, reveal the appropriate monsters in your hand to activate its effects. One earth monster. This face-up card is unaffected by opponent's card effects at this turn. Earth, fire, and dark. Destroy one card on the field. Again, that's cool. It's a quick effect pop. It's like a cool towers on your opponent's turn. But it doesn't stay at towers, and it's only 3,000. Meaning they can kill this thing by other means. Now, don't get me wrong. I think the other protections can make this thing unkillable by like card effects or battle. So it's just stuck in there. It's just staying there. But other than that, it's just a 3,000 that special summon itself. That needs to reveal a earth, a fire, and a dark in order to pop one card on the field. At least, that's a lot of attributes you got to reveal. So this whole deck's gimmick is that you keep cards. I guess you keep bouncing cards from your field back to hand in order to then reveal them, in order to just gain advantage. I kind of see it. I kind of need to see it in action, to be honest. But I kind of get the idea. It's kind of like UAs, but it's more proactive. The idea is that you just keep bouncing the monsters or the attributes back in hand in order to reveal them to get the effects off the other ones, which is kind of cool. I like the idea of it, but I just wish the effects were better. Like the last one that literally just says, they gain 3,000. They gain 3,000. I guess he would gain 3,000, right? No, he's an earth. It said all fires gain 3,000. I really don't know. Alright, so now we have the lake monster. Dark Rock Link 1. That's great. Link 1s are always solid. 0 attack. If a Vanquish Souls monster can't be used as link material, so that's interesting. This can't be used as link material, meaning you can't link climb higher if they ever decide to give us a link 2 or 3. While you control a Vanquish Souls monster, your opponent's monster can only target attack with the highest attack, your choice. And during the main phase, quick effect, activate all these effects. Special summon one Vanquish Souls from your hand. Add one Vanquish Souls from your graveyard to hand. That's cool. I like it. The fact that this adds back from grave. That's kind of cool. It's 0 attack, so they have to get the biggest guy. But what happens when they clear the biggest guy? You still have a 0 attack lake monster that kind of does nothing. I do like it's a quick effect during the main phase, so they're every player's main phase. You just keep getting resources. That's pretty solid. I don't know why you can't use this thing as link material. You could just say it can't be used for link material to turn it summoned. I don't know why it can't be used for link material, period. Or how about it can't be used for link material except for other Vanquish Souls monsters? That means once this card's made, if they give them another link, well, this thing's just stuck in the main monster zone. Or let's go to the extra deck monster zone. I really don't know, man. This card's cool. I just don't know. And you say, they don't give him another link. They'll give him like a synchro or a fusion or an XYZ. Okay, but none of the cards really support that unless they give us a new wave of support. And if they do that, that means they're just retraining the whole archetype to do that because they realized this archetype wasn't good enough until they added that. So I really don't know. I'm going to say, out of all the archetypes we got, the transcendent drinks in the other archetype, this one seems the most lackluster. Even though the artwork's the coolest, I think. Actually, that's not true. I think the chef archetype was just pretty solid looking. Vanquish Souls Dust Devil. Quick effect. It only activates the effect once a turn. Target one Vanquish Souls monster you control, change its battle position. Then you can change the face-up monster your opponent controls the face-down defense position up to the number of Vanquish Souls monsters you control with different names. So I guess this card's just Book of Eclipse, which is pretty cool. So the idea is that you want to spam the field with Vanquish Souls monsters, which seems pretty easy enough. And then you want to Book of Eclipse them. And then you want to bounce your own Valence monsters from your field back to hand in order to then reveal them in order to get the effects of the monsters on the field, which seems cool. I gotta see these cards in action. I could be just throwing this archetype under the rug because it seems cool. I can imagine like EDO Pro and these guys like special summon, add, keep bouncing themselves back from hand and field, keep getting resources. Like I can see the resource lines. I just don't think they do enough. Like, these spells and traps must be insane because the main monsters aren't really doing anything to your opponent. They're kind of just looking at them. Like, yeah, the big boss monster, if you reveal an Earth, Dark, and a Fire, pops one card. But the other ones are like, why are they based on columns? Like, that one that wants to pop spells and traps. Why can't it pop a field spell? You know what I mean? Like, I just don't know. Why couldn't it just pop any spell and trap? Why couldn't it just pop any monster? Why does the one that gives it 3,000 attack do nothing else? I don't know. Why is one of them only burn for 1,500? You know what I mean? It's like some weird effects, and I would get it, but again, I guess it helps in time. You have a time and around card. Yeah, let's go. Every modern archetype doesn't have time and around card. You just suck. But I don't know. I just don't know. It's cool. I like this card. It's a great card. Book of Eclipse is solid, but I just don't know. And now this is Vanquish Soul Continues. This is another quick play spell, so I guess this deck revolves on quick play spells. You can only activate this effect once per turn. Pay 500, then target one Vanquish Souls monster in graveyard and either add it to hand or special summon in defense position. That's a pretty solid card. You can only activate it once per name. That's fine. But it is a reborn, and it's also an either add back to hand, which is pretty solid. So basically you can add it back to hand so you can reveal it in order to get your effects going, or you can special summon it to trigger it and then get its effects going that way. I like this card. This card sounds pretty good. I wish it was add from deck. I wish it wasn't add from grave. I think you say, oh, adding a reborn plus a Rhoda would be insane, but this deck, I don't know. Maybe it needed that. I just don't know. We'll just have to keep reading. Cool artwork. It's a pudge of, like, dead monster on the floor. But, hey, what can you do? It's a pudge of dead monster on the floor. Really solid looking artwork, though. I like the artwork of all these archetypes. I'm not going to lie. I'm not bashing this. I know I'm bashing this archetype. But when you compare it to the first two archetypes that got revealed, this definitely seems the weakest, in my opinion. Like, don't get me wrong, I see the potential. I see what Konami's doing with the whole bouncing back to hand and summoning them back. I could be proven wrong. This could be actually a really powerful archetype. But compared to the other two archetypes in this set, the ritual archetype that tributes every monster your opponent controls, and the dinosaur support, which is kind of insane, this archetype just feels a little lackluster, especially since it's the final archetype they're revealing. You know what I mean? Like, this is supposed to be the high note. Don't get me wrong, it's really original. One of my favorite things about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the originality of cards, but again, if they ain't great enough to be meta, I don't know. We'll just have to see. Alright, so we have another card, Vanquish Souls Trinity Burst. I love the artwork. I love them all together. You only use the effect once per turn. Target one Vanquish Souls monster you control. Especially summon up to 2 Vanquish Souls monsters from your hand with different names from each other and or different original attributes from the targeted monster. But their effects are negated. Also return them to the hand during the end phase. Then you return all opponent's cards in the targeted, that targeted and special summon on the same column as this hand. Wait. Let me read this. Let me read that. Target one Vanquish Souls monster control. Special summon up to 2 Vanquish Souls monsters from your hand with different names from each other and different ritual attributes from each other for the targeted monsters, but their effects are negated. Also, return to the hand during the end phase. Then you can return all opponent's cards and that targets and the summon monsters column to the hand. So, if I understand this correctly, it basically says, hey, when everything returns back to hand, every monster in the same column as your valence monsters also gets returned back to hand. Okay, so now this card actually has potential. And the reason why I say that is because if you can make your monsters unkillable by card effects and can't be destroyed by battle, and you spam them on the field and you activate this card, that basically means every monster that they summon, doesn't matter, will get returned to the hand during the end phase when all your monsters get returned to hand. So that, if I'm understanding this card correctly, that isn't actually that bad. It's very weird wording, but I think the whole gimmick of this deck now is that you spam the field with a whole bunch of monsters that can't be destroyed by battle or card effects, and basically you give them a whole bunch of defense and attack, and you keep revealing them, keep bouncing them back to hand, and getting all these like mini effects. But then you kind of control the field with these spell and trap cards, either bouncing all monsters in the same column back to hand, or you book a moon the rest. I see the potential. I see the potential now. And then the final card is a counter trap. Vanquish Souls, Calamity, Kaiser. When an opponent activates a spell, or trap, or monster effect that targets cards you control, while you control a Vanquish Soul monster, get the activation you do, destroy that card, and inflict damage to your opponent equal to attack of 1 Vanquish Souls monster control. Okay, I like this. It does require you to control Vanquish Souls, which sucks. But if you get like one of your big Vanquish Souls monsters and you boost it by 3,000 and you activate its effect, does that mean you burn them for like a lot of damage? Like, I can see that being a really cool gimmick, that you're like, okay, not only are all these monsters like unkillable, but I'm spamming the field on them, and I have a counter trap that says, hey, you try to do something to me, I'll just negate you and then burn you for like 4,000 damage. That sounds pretty solid. I'm not gonna lie, this card seems cool. I don't know how many of these we would play. Maybe probably like 1 or 2 of, but still, that's still pretty solid. I don't know. This archetype seems weird. I feel like I'm not conceptualizing the cards yet. Like, I'm reading them and I'm trying to process how the deck would play. Because that's the thing with Yu-Gi-Oh decks, that every archetype plays differently, which I love. But when you first read an archetype and it has a whole new gimmick, you gotta and there's no way to test it, sadly. So you gotta conceptualize how these cards work and go from there. Overall, I think these cards have potential. We'll just have to go from there.